I hope you have unlimited text messaging. By Miss Carr. Chapter 87. In-Person Conversation 3. I've always been a futurist. What happened? Tony heard Steve ask as he placed his phone down. A lot. Apparently, mostly involving Spidey and a supervillain. I'm trying to piece it together from Twitter. Apparently, I have a soon-to-be former employee to thank for most of this stuff being on Twitter. It was all giving him a headache, really. Friday, Princess, can you please get Daddy a copy of the initial S.H.I.E.L.D. report and the FBI report? Tony asked the travel version of Friday on his phone. He really wanted to know what the hell was going on, and Agent was being extra cryptic. Agent Coulson says he is still drafting the report and will need to speak with Spidey before completing it. However, he will send you a copy once the preliminary analysis is ready in exchange for you not accessing the FBI database without authorization. The AI replied. That's fine. Tony agreed reluctantly. Whatever happened doesn't sound very good, Steve said, pulling him back down onto the bed. He was shirtless. Bless him. Not really. Okay, so long story short, Happy is pissed at us because I'm dating you. You didn't tell him it was really me beforehand, did you? Steve asked. He was glaring. That's not good. No, because he already hated Stefan because you're keeping me from my one true love, Pepper. At least that's what Happy believes. In reality, Tony is pretty sure that Steve may be the one, which is weird because they haven't even had sex yet and they still have so many issues to deal with, but somehow Tony just feels it. But he figured it out anyway? Steve asked. Yep, because he totally didn't buy that I was dating your lookalike just to get over you. Probably because I never gave him that excuse, but I was planning to. It does not matter, because he still had a hissy fit in the form of disregarding May's wonderful plan to get our Avengers toys out of the tower and upstate away from Little Fingers. I assume you mean weapons? Yes. After the 2 Baltimore incidents, we decided to use a decoy plane and then sneak everything else out with fake milk trucks. Instead of following orders, he flew everything out in one plane, which was attacked, according to media reports, by a guy dressed as a vulture. There are video files, possibly posted by someone I need to fire, Tony said, as he pulled up one of the more benign things that ended up on Twitter. Is Peter wearing pajamas? Steve remarked. Possibly yes. This is why I ended up giving him the original suit in the first place. Now I'm kind of regretting grounding him because this happened. You know all the stories about me getting into fights with bullies 3 times my size were all true. I totally should have known better. At least he called Laura, or rather had his friend do it. Of course, if Happy would have listened to anybody, this would not have happened. Why didn't Laura get there before this happened? Steve asked. Because of the Clint announcement. She was in D.C. when Ned finally got a hold of her and told her that Peter was going rogue. From what I gathered from Agent, they arrived after the flight was done, but before the cops showed up. Tony told his boyfriend as he snuggled in a little closer. Does this mean you need to get back to New York to handle this? Steve wrapped an arm around him. Possibly, but I don't know, Tony said, turning around to look at Steve. The tech has been recovered. The bad guy is in federal custody. Spider-Teen is in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody and being escorted home. I'm going to have to deal with Happy, but it might be best if I have a couple of days to cool down. And you're conflicted? This is going to be a PR disaster, especially if anybody finds out that it could have been completely prevented if Happy had followed the agreed-upon protocol. I don't know if I should let Pepper handle that on her own, because it's an Avenger thing, not an SI thing. He felt guilty enough due to all the pictures of him and Steve making out all over the place. He didn't want her to see those, but somebody had a telephoto lens, so here they are. And that's on top of everything from yesterday. You're right, Pepper shouldn't have to deal with all on her own, when it's not her fault. On the plus side, at least the announcement of me having a boyfriend did not go completely horribly. They confused me with Chris Evans, Steve remarked with a smirk. The beard and the biceps, but you're sexier, Tony said as he leaned over to kiss Steve on the mouth. He cherished every aspect of it because he knew his time with Steve was short. He was going to have to go back sooner than Wednesday. He just knew it. On the bright side, Evans took on a bunch of homophobic assholes for us. He also said he would be totally up to playing my boyfriend in the Avenger anthology. That's a weird thing to say considering he's already cast to play you. Fuck, he knows, damn it, Tony said as everything clicked. Focus on other things. Of course, Steve kissed him again, which made Tony's mind focus on the wrong thing. Like the Avengers' weapons almost getting stolen, he said, pulling away. Yes. This means like 24 phone calls, starting with Jane, the PR goddess, the deputy head of security, because Happy is kind of sort of suspended right now. Pepper. The Pepper conversation was going to be brutal. Is it late there or early in Malibu right now? He asked, turning to Steve. Late, since it's about 5 a.m. here, so it might actually be almost a decent time in California, Tony said as he reached over to get his cell phone, his normal one, not the Avenger burn phone. Maybe you can wait a little bit. Well, you should rest. You barely slept last night. Because after a night of political smoozing, we made it like teenagers and I had to take 2 showers. Otherwise I would have done something else I did as a teenager. You should still rest, Steve said with a kiss to his temple. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I'll sleep on the plane. Although I could really use some espresso or 6. I'll call room service. So you're going back? 90% probability, but I need to talk to Pepper first, and possibly Peter, Tony said before kissing him again. He can't get enough of this. It was addictive. Look, it's not going to be a goodbye forever goodbye. I think people are buying Stefan. Don't want that matter. Anyway. Also, I think I'm going to spend the winter in Malta. Because he really can't go that long without Steve kisses. Malta? Steve asked. I bought Ian Quinn's old compound in a fire sale a couple years ago. The lab space is currently being rebuilt, but it seems like a good place for a Secret Avenger hideout, especially for Secret Avengers. Maybe Stefan could come and visit every couple of weeks. Tony has been working on this plan for a while because he is a futurist, after all, and the writing is on the wall. I'm not going to be able to come back, am I? Steve asked sadly. Not anytime soon, at least. I'm having Friday analyze the Twitter reactions to Clint coming back. So far, most of it's positive, but Ross is on the warpath. Which was what Tony originally thought Coulson was going to contact him about, not the Spidey thing. Of course he is, Steve sighed wearily. I just don't want you to get caught up. Tony leans over to kiss Steve again. I can take care of myself. I love you, so I worry, or at least that's what Anna told me when I was a kid. Wise woman. And I love you too, Steve responded as he kissed back. Very wise. And she got killed because Dad has too many enemies. I don't want to take unnecessary risks, and I think it's safer if you keep a low profile. But you're making arrangements for us to see each other more often. Yes. Now I have a boyfriend in another country to excuse my overseas trips that are not as high connected. Also, I have a wedding in Mumbai the last week of October as well. The son of a friend from MIT who I actually still speak to occasionally. I could use a +1, and I'm hoping the medical restrictions will be gone by then. I think I might make it. Look, you call Pepper, and I will get you coffee. Although maybe you should call Peter first. Steve says as he gets up from the bed, but not before kissing Tony again. I think I just fell in love a little bit more, Tony thinks to himself.